China is preparing to take part of Russia, and its ambitions extend beyond just the Far East. If China withdraws its support from Russia, Russia will start having problems with missiles, and within 6 months, Moscow will make concessions on Ukraine, according to Major General Yagin.
And for more details, stay tuned for our report. You are watching the Glavred channel. I'm your host, Yevgeny Serov. Like this video and subscribe to the channel.
For the first time in a long while, contacts between Ukraine and China took place on December 18th in Beijing. Deputy Foreign Minister Serhiy Kyslytsya held consultations with Liu Bin, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs of the PRC, who holds the rank of Deputy Minister. In addition to bilateral relations between Ukraine and China, plans for further contacts between the presidents, and economic cooperation, they also discussed the war in Ukraine and confirmed that mutual respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity is the foundation of Ukrainian-Chinese relations. However, it's not entirely clear how one can simultaneously support Ukraine's territorial integrity and Russia in its war against the Ukrainian state. Nevertheless, despite the prolonged pause in relations, Kyiv and Beijing do have points of contact. Former deputy head of the SBU Reserve Major General Viktor Yahun told Glavred what outcome of the war in Ukraine China is interested in. How realistic is it to convince Beijing to stop supporting Russia? How long could Russia continue fighting without Chinese assistance? And how is China preparing for the possible collapse of Russia? And which of its territories does it intend to claim? Most of China's technological breakthroughs are based on Soviet ideas, and the overwhelming majority of these ideas originated either from Kyiv, or from Dnipro, or from Odessa and Lviv. In other words, from Ukrainian cities, but during the Soviet era. For example, rocket technologies. Therefore, if we want to interest China, we need to make it clear that all these developments and technologies originated not from Russia, but from Ukraine. It was not the USSR or Russia that provided China with the foundation for its development, but Ukraine, according to Yagun. Can Ukraine's interest in the collapse of the Russian Federation be considered a shared interest with China? After all, Chinese media are now openly discussing China's appetite for the Far East. Under what circumstances might China try to claim a piece of Russia for itself? Yagun answered this as well. China definitely won't act preemptively. It will sit on the riverbank and wait for the coffin with Russia's corpse to float by. He won't let anyone else get a foothold in eastern Russia. In time, he'll end up there himself. That's 100% certain. And as for the quiet Chinese expansion, everyone already knows about it. There are entire regions in eastern Russia where the population speaks Chinese. For Russia, China's intentions are simply obvious. If protests or upheavals start in the center of Russia, the country could simply fall apart. And China definitely won't let the Far East slip away. By the way, what do you think the Chinese are building an icebreaker for? They're seriously preparing to take part of Russia, including being able to operate in Arctic waters, the Himalayas, and Tibet. China is preparing units that can operate in conditions where the temperature drops below -40. That's why China is preparing for the collapse of Russia and is making plans for the next 50 years.